I knew from the first time I saw it announced that this would be a unique and very special DLC, enough to become the best DLC Dragon Ball Z Kakarot ever had. Join me to find out, because it's time for the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai Tournament. Can we reach 50 likes on this video? That would be awesome. I was really looking forward to this DLC, and here we are once again bringing you the review of this channel. Don't worry, cause the other expansion packs like the one with Oob and Dragon Ball Daima will also have their respective reviews. So without further preamble, let's see what this 5th DLC has to offer us and if it will be worth it for its price. I never imagined that this DLC would start just like this. When I saw the trailer for the first time, I started to assume it, but once the 23rd Martial Arts Tournament was announced as one of the DLCs that Kakarot would bring, my expectations were extremely high. I don't know if I've ever told you, but this is one of my favorite Dragon Ball arcs, not only from the original series, but from the entire franchise in its entirety. And the reason is not because I want to make myself interesting just because this is not as popular as the later, much better known Z arcs, but because of its incredible contribution and narrative culmination for Akira Toriyama as a mangaka, which would mark the before and after, the completion of great ideologies, character stories, and incredible panels. Once we defeat King Piccolo as Kid Goku, we are allowed to interact with many new elements for the Kakarot game system. New characters, having one in participation for the first time as a small this little Goku, and ground combat, where there's no place for the flight. A system we will have to get used to for the whole experience. It was to be expected that the game would add its scenarios to walk through and interact with secondary tasks and additional elements that would make the DLC worthwhile, at least in terms of playtime. We can also use the flying Nimbus as a means of movement. It has different controls than when we can fly later. You have new secondary tasks that grant experience, areas with toughs to defeat, and food dishes that do the usual, raise your stats in combat. There's even the restaurant near the tournament where Goku made Master Roshi waste all his money from the prize. You have your respective training area and you can learn more advanced skills at any time you want. As this arc progresses towards its inevitable final confrontation, the characters are shown with very faithful interaction and are dismantled in a way according to the source material. The first glance that Goku takes to Piccolo, his reunion with Milk, the elimination of Yajirobe, and Shen's conversation with the main character. In fact, the game has a very well polished side mission with Tien's past involving General Tao and how that affected the path he has been following, now that he had to face the cyborg Tao. I love this because the evolution that Tien had since his first appearance at the beginning of the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai until this point is notable. Even without having seen it in this game, in the original material, this fight means a lot for the character, and here in the game, the satisfaction that they let us see how he's able to humiliate his previous mentor using the strength he has gained thanks to the path he decided to choose the same time ago is priceless. The addition of Tien as a playable character for this DLC seems splendid to me because they didn't waste that opportunity to contribute to the narrative value of this arc, being able to use it as a detail that is greatly appreciated and fits very well in the ground fighting mode. Just as Kakarot has accustomed us, we are presented with cinematics with medium and high technical values, depending on the intent or emotional weight that each scene has. Obviously, the best was left for the end. However, I was quite disappointed by the fact that the fight between Krillin and Piccolo and also Yamcha's against Shen were only static panels with voiceover, summarizing what happened. And although I understand that obviously most of these characters are not playable, an effort could have been made to present them cinematically as with Goku and Milk. Why leave aside the great panels of the manga that could have been represented, such as Krillin's maturity in accepting his defeat after showing Piccolo that he was wrong, or the surprise that Kami got with Yamcha's attack? I feel like it was a wasted opportunity. On the other hand, I really enjoyed the fight against Tien. This was the confrontation that would show the spectators at that time how formidable Goku had become after this first time skip, and they did it in a great way in this DLC, not only in the final execution execution of Goku's attack that would lead to Tien's elimination, but with the advantage of the game mechanics to show lucid events, like when Tien divided into 4 and we must literally fight against 4 of them at the same time. The techniques are modified and the moveset of the two looks spectacular. I had a good time, but that wouldn't compare to what this DLC saved for the end. In the fight of Kami against Piccolo, something similar to the previous ones would happen. A summary with cinematics, but on this occasion I feel that it works better, since it serves as an emotional indication for the final fight. By swallowing his mentor after sealing him in a small container, the only thing that stands in the total conquest of the Demon King is Goku, leaving the protagonist in a critical situation, from which only he could find a solution, having the disadvantage that he wants to beat Piccolo without killing him, protect the spectators around him, and still become the tournament champion. It's crazy. The final battle is the one in which CyberConnect sent all the meat to the grill. We can see this Piccolo's moveset is different from the one that already existed in the base game clearly. His then revelation as the reincarnated Demon King, his power clash against Goku and his Kamehameha, and of course his transformation into a giant, providing a special boss fight where the attack and dodge elements change substantially. Fighting using a young Goku in the final confrontation feels very good. The Janken attacks, the iconic Kamehameha with the feet is good fan service, especially with the final finish, which by this moment is already iconic for a DLC. This climax is not only the culmination of this arc and the end of one of the best tournaments that have ever existed in Dragon Ball, it's also the essential spiritual closure of everything that was instructed into Goku since he was just a little boy. All those values and fundamentals are crystallized in an harmonious and beautifully choreographed way in the fight between Son Goku versus Piccolo Jr., a climax that is portrayed, in my opinion, splendidly by CyberConnect. With his clothes torn, covered in steam but firmly on his guard after receiving the best his opponent has to throw at him, Goku launches forward with all the vigor and power he has left, executing the iconic meteor combination for the first time in a spectacular graphic display with a beautiful sequence of consecutive attacks. It's truly difficult not to be excited by such a brutal, adrenaline-filled moment. If there's a game that truly captures these important moments from Akira Toriyama's manga, it would be Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. And that's so important to the medium. It has such immense value that it seems unfair to me that this experience is hidden behind a paywall. The action scenes and iconic moments of the series are carefully composed, choreographed to capture the essence of that moment. How the characters move, how they pose, how they appear in a frame matters, because this is an audiovisual representation of a medium that is entirely made up of static images, and what they convey in each panel should be respected in this representation, because it's what manages to communicate most clearly the sentimental value of the work, and brings the viewer much closer to the author's vision of his story. After becoming the World Martial Arts Champion after a brutal cinematic, the credits roll and this expansion is over. But as usual, new side missions, assignments and areas are unlocked so that in the end the player has much more playing time, taking advantage of all the new elements such as Goku's skill tree and how it will lead to his new life as a married man. Now, in conclusion, do I think this is the best Dragon Ball Z Kakarot DLC so far? Honestly, it's very good, but I still wouldn't consider it the best. No, I think the Future Trunks DLC captures the identity of the arc just as well, but apart, it offers more content, scenarios inspired only by the manga, and in general, a more complete experience. This DLC is pretty outstanding and met the expectations I had. However, you can complete it in 3 hours, and at the cost of $20, you can choose a better form of entertainment. However, this is a must-play for fans of the original Dragon Ball. I feel like you'll find it as captivating as I did. Guys, I hope you had a good time with this new review. If you've already tried it, the DLC, tell me what you thought in the comments. If you're still unsure about whether to buy the previous Bardock DLC, you can watch this video. It might help. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and see ya.